Joey B, man, with stats in hand, spilling numbers like grains of sand. Fancy talking about diamond dreams, chasing players, whispering their schemes. Oh, Welsh, breaking it down real slow, voices howling in the radio's glow. Talking monsters on the baseball field, wizards swinging bats and magic shields. Fantasy baseball in the night, podcasters giving us that sight. Question marks and stars collide, dreams of glory never hide.
Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is Leading Off Live. It is me, Joey P. Joe P's up here. With me, of course, is the Welsh, and it's all of you, the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks, here on a Monday morning. Lots of baseball going on. Some Joe Stradamus moments over the weekend to discuss. We've got prospecting with the Welsh today. We are jam-packed. Welsh, did you have a nice Mother's Day? Were you very good to your mother? And did you also take care of your wife and everybody on the weekend?
Yeah. Lots of moms, I'm exhausted. So it was great for everybody else. Servant Welsh is going to the side here, and we are looking forward. We're spending, I told my wife and everybody, the Monday hits, it's Father's Month. It's now Father's Month, all the way to Father's Day. We're celebrating all about the dads.
I like that. I could use a Father's Day. I'll settle for a week. A month sounds great. Don't think I'm getting that. Let's talk about where we left off last weekend too, because when last we saw you, Rafael Devers was in his feelings quite a bit. Now, over the weekend, he met with management and the ownership, and I think everybody had a little heart to heart, which is kind of like, maybe you want to role play this. You want to play Rafael Devers and I'll play ownership. You want to have some fun?
Sure.
Little improv. Remember? Yes, and. So here we go. Hey, Rafi, we're paying you $300 million. We know you're a professional. It takes a lot of pride in what you do, but we're paying you $300 million in this contract, guaranteed. You don't have an opt-out. I know you see lots of guys getting paid now, maybe twice as much, just a couple years after you sign that deal, and that's frustrating. But Rafi, we kind of need you to go grab your glove and play first base. Otherwise, we're kind of in a pickle, and it's going to hurt our ability to win. And if you hurt our ability to win, we might have to look for another place for you to play. What do you think, Raf?
No.
Okay, then. That was good talk. Good talk, Rafael. It seems like he's more open, though. I don't know if you saw some of the comments after. It's like, oh, we'll see. Maybe some stroking, had to go on of the ego. I don't know. But was telling to me was the Trevor Story stuff, too, and says, did you see Story's quote, just out of curiosity?
I didn't see Story's quote, no.
He said, quote, we'll talk about it. Obviously, things are fresh and a little emotional right now. But yeah, we will do it, Trevor Story said. And like I said, we're all adults, and we'll figure things out eventually one way or another. It's about winning games, and I think everyone can agree with that. Now, if you read between the lines there, that's tension. That means, hey, buddy, we're all trying to do our best here. What are you doing? But we'll monitor that as we go. Kyle Schwarber was good. It was my home run call of the weekend. He hit home runs 13 and 14. The on-base streak, which was, 44 or 45, I think, was snapped on Friday. But great performance by Schwarber yesterday. Zack Wheeler also, great performance by him. 8 strikeouts, 7 innings. He was plus 900 yesterday morning for the Cy Young. Welsh, I don't know if you want to take a guess on what that number might be after yesterday's performance.
What'd you say, 6? Let's call it 4 to 1.
900.
Oh, well. Okay, give me the number, because then I'll tell you something here about that. I'm going to guess, it was 9. I'm going to go 5 to 1.
Nope, 7. So it only went down a little bit, which means there's still incredible value on Wheeler for Cy Young right now.
How about this, though? Even better value on the Betting Pros show that we did last week, where I came on and said that Zack Wheeler is 11 to 1 and still a really nice bet. So those odds have almost, they're getting close to starting to cutting in half, but 11 to 1 when we did it last week, then 9, then 7. We're continuously going down. It's an open market because Skeens, who we're going to see today, he hasn't been as skeensy as we're used to. The strikeouts are not quite there. He's getting hit up a little bit. Fun fact, I don't remember, and I don't know if this has ever happened, that Paul Skeens is plus money through the first 5 innings of a matchup. I don't think I've ever seen him be, because obviously it's the Pirates, it's not him, but that is banking and backing the starting pitcher. David Peterson is on the mound for the Mets, and Paul Skeens is plus, and the Pirates are plus money, plus 105 for the first 5. I don't recall ever seeing that. So Skeens isn't as Skeensy.
Stay tuned for bets today, because I got some feelings on that game. Here's a question. Is Roki Sasaki droppable, Welsh? I don't think
10 team? Yeah, I think
You think
so.
so? You wanna drop
12
him even at
team?
10 team?
I don't
I
know.
was gonna give him a little bit more time
I
in a
mean,
10 team
upside
league.
if you want to, if you're playing the upside game, but in a 10 team, dude, you are much better served streaming those cool pitchers that are sitting around there, assuming you can stream decently, than you are holding on to Sasaki. His fastball is still blah. His slider or his split finger is starting not to do what it needs to be doing. He's not getting the whiffs. He's got walks. He's not a great serviceable option in 10 team. 12 and 15, you're probably trying to bench. I'm not sure I'm dropping him because of what's like available out there. But, the tough question, if he has like, let's say one more bad one and Bubba eventually in some universe comes up, breaks through the multiverse portal in a ship and comes down.
That's what it's gonna take at this point.
Well, who would you rather have? Would it be Bubba or Sasaki? And it might be Bubba.
It might be Bubba, but it might, I don't know. Again, it's early in the year. I'm hoping Sasaki, can figure things out. And the Dodgers need him to. More on the Dodgers starting pitchers later in the show, too. We got updates on Snell and Glass now. Michael wants to know why I don't wear the jacket like I do on Sundays. I said suit jacket. I
The
mean
Bob
the
Sackett?
Yeah, well, we did have the Full House opening, so it's not that far off. So the suit jacket is for TV on Sundays, yes, because it's mandatory. So I have to wear the jacket. I don't have to wear a jacket here. I can be nice and comfortable, and that's what I want to be, damn it. Sandy Alcantara became Sunday Alcantara again yesterday, 5 2/3. Now, it wasn't great in terms of like the win-loss because he did take an L against the White Sox, but better. He had 8 strikeouts, walked 3 guys, gave up 7 hits. The problem was the 3-run homer to Tim Elko, which was his first major league hit, his first major league home run. Shout out to him. Now, we know the ERA is still very high, but the 8 strikeouts, I think at least gave you a little bit of cozy feelings, Welsh, if you hung on and say, okay, maybe there's something here where we can get back on track. I was encouraged. Wasn't perfect, but the buy window is still very much open for Sandy.
Yeah, potential buy opportunity. Really interesting thing is everybody knows Sandy was going to like rely heavy on his changeup. He dropped that down to the 4th most used pitch in this start. He was 15% on the changeup, which I mean, I'd have to go through the logs, which I'm not going to do. But like that's got to be one of the lowest in God knows how long of usage there. He was fastball. He went secondary on the curve, which it's interesting with the strikeouts too, as far as like whiffs goes. Like every single whiff, because he had the 8 strikeouts, every whiff induced a strikeout. So he was setting up. Zone percentages were kind of weird a little bit, but he was getting to 2 strike counts, which is why he had a heavy 107 pitch count. But then he was able to drop that strikeout. It was done on the fastball, curveball, 0 whiffs on the changeup, which is really interesting, and only a 15% usage. Something to watch that maybe he's pushing that back a tiny bit, and that might catapult him moving forward, because when he gets back to throwing that a lot, that's a huge strikeout inducing pitch. And it's really his best pitch outside of being able to throw like high 90s. So this maybe is like a semi-positive sign that things are going to start turning around. He'll scrap this for a couple weeks and then bam, it's going to come back with a fury. But good results with a pretty obvious change he had in this last start.
One of the most dropped players last week was Bowden Francis, and he had arguably his best start of the year on Sunday. So let's talk about that for a second. 6 2/3, 3-run baseball. Did not factor into the decision, but if you look at the percentage of drops, again, he was way at the top. He is now rostered in just 60% of leagues. Do you think if you need pitching that Bowden Francis might be a guy, maybe you scoop up off the waiver wire and hope that he is righting the ship? Maybe this start is the turning of the corner, or is this fool's gold?
Yeah. I think it's fool's gold. His overarching page of information is like crazy worrisome. 5.4 ERA with a worse expected ERA. A 12% barrel rate given up is crazy. 50% hard hit rate given up against is also crazy. And almost ever, at least his top 2 pitches used, have expected batting averages of 40 points or higher against. So like that's what's probably leading to some of the expected stuff out there. I think he's a streamer. I think unless he rattles off like 4 at this point, which still I'm not sure you trust, I think you got to pick your matchups right with him. There might be some pseudo signs of brilliance that pop themselves out, but 17% K percentage, 6% walk. He gives up a lot of barreling, bad expected ERA. I'm probably a pass.
Okay, probably a pass there for the Welsh on Francis. Now, I saw in the chat, where was it? Mitch was asking, what can we expect from Brandon Woodruff when he comes back? Well, let's talk about that, Mitch. because Brandon Woodruff should be back this week. He had one more rehab start over the weekend, coming back from that shoulder issue. Struck out 3, 1 run, just 2 1/3 innings. So it was kind of weird. I guess it was like the tune-up start or whatever. I don't know. I thought this was odd, but they said, no, this is what he was going to do, have an abbreviated start. This is the first I feel like we get this. Usually the guy goes longer, not shorter, but 39 pitches in this start. They say this was the last tune-up. They say he's going to make his debut later in this week. So I would assume after this tune-up, maybe the first start is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're looking at maybe 75 pitches, probably short there. Tobias Myers was sent back down too because they're not too happy with him. So I do think, and we're going to talk about a prospect in that system too who might get a look, but the Brewers are trying to shake the trees a little bit. Woodruff is that first domino to fall in this rotation. So Peralta, Woodruff. After that, I think everything is kind of open for business.
Yeah, I mean, well, Jose Quintana kind of has it, but I will
kind of, yeah.
To your point though, like it's crazy. The whole rotate. They have an entire rotation that's injured out here. Aaron Ashby and DL Hall have been pitching. Those guys are starting their rehab process. You've got 2 minor league pitchers that could vie for that spot. So if you do consider Peralta, Woodruff, and even Quintana there, you've got 2 open spots between like 7 guys. So it could go really any direction. But on Woodruff, what to expect? I'm probably going to be a tiny bit hesitant in the first start. Like if you're hugging ratios, maybe don't start him out. Like they might only let him and want him to go into the 70 range and pull into the bullpen. So I'm going to be a little bit hesitant, but I want to pick him up. I don't know who the matchup is. I'm not looking at the schedule, but if it's like the Pirates, then I'm probably starting that matchup. But if it's something like, anybody in the NL West except the Rockies, I'm probably going to pass.
Guardians to open the week, and then later in the week they have. Come on, I want to see more.
Because Thursday or Friday is the likely start time if he started on Sunday.
All right, so they've got. Or Saturday. Where are we here? Guardians open the week. Twinkies at home. I know you hate the Twinkies.
Love that. But, I don't love the name.
So Thursday they're off. Friday, Saturday, Sunday they're at home against the Twins.
So Friday is probably the likely scenario, I guess. I you know what? I think the Twins. I might. That's a half decent matchup. I probably might start him there.
All right, let's go to everybody's favorite, or really nobody's favorite segment. Joe Stradamus.
Nope.
When last we left you, also I was talking about how the Rockies needed to overhaul everything, that it was unacceptable, and guess what? It was. By the time we got back here on Monday, I guess they're fans of the show. Ownership was watching. Bud Black, who is also the winningest manager in Rockies history. Hasn't gotten that team to a 500 record since 2018. That's a long time ago, Welsh. I wasn't even working at FantasyPros in 2018, okay? That's how long ago 2018 was. So unfortunately, Bud Black is gone. Mike Redmond is going to take over, and then you're going to have Clint Hurdle be the bench coach, who's got managerial experience. Look, you are 7-33. We talked about last week how they got destroyed 21-3 in a doubleheader, and then on Saturday, I think that was the death knell. Because was it 20-0 in that game? I think
21, yeah,
21-0 against the Padres again, and which Michael Cali extremely happy, I'm sure. But it's just embarrassing. I know the division is so far at leaps and bounds ahead of them. I get all of that, but where the Rockies I think have gone wrong is thinking that they can somehow defend and pitch their way out of things. When the Rockies organization is good, they got Matt Holliday and Todd Helton hitting home runs. They got Vinny Castilla, Andres Galarraga, and Larry Walker hitting home runs. Go get some guys hitting home runs. Just beat everybody to death, because nowadays, with the specialization in pitching, you might be able to find some weird, and I know they tried it a couple years ago with the openers and the 3-inning guys and all this stuff. At the end of the day, I think it's a bigger issue, but at least in the meantime, structurally, they need to overhaul this whole organization from the top down, Welsh.
And I don't know if they're going to. I mean, they should have made, at this point, like, go get Charlie Blackmon to be your manager. He was just playing with the team last year. He's some advisor with the organization. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's a weird conversation. Like, we had talked about on the last episode. It was just like, well, they could fire, they could not. They're a huge losing team. What do you get if you do either way? Maybe you'll get a fire burnt under, but the organization development kind of stinks. The players that they're piecing together, I suppose it's getting better. Guys like Brenton Doyle, they haven't traded away Ryan McMahon, but I guess at the end of the day, it's never really seemed like there's a clear path of what they're doing. I don't look at that roster or the minor leagues, and I don't really understand what they're doing. But Rockies clean house. Another in-season manager at this point already canned, which is pretty crazy. A little bit surprised by it, but I suppose this is not the team to be surprised by. They don't even have double-digit wins. When do you think they'll get the 10th win of the year?
Oh,
What's
God.
if I say June 1st, I'll say June 1st over under. That means 3 more wins, right? Aren't they 7 and something?
They're 7. They have 7 wins. They'll get 10 wins by June 1st.
Okay, so you'll take under.
Happen.
All right, September. Michael Impo said September 1st. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's out of pocket to believe that it's over the June 1st, but baseball isn't quite like football where it's like, the coach bounce, the dead cat bounce type of thing. Like, we're going to play up for it. Like, I don't really think that's going to happen. You still have to put those same players out there in baseball.
That's the Pirates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that was the whole point, is that, like, I know Bud Black is a very respected guy in the organization. I know he's been there for a long time. He's had some success. He's a good manager.
And he's gone. Get to the back of the line. You're fine.
And it's not his fault necessarily. But when you see the effort level when you're losing games 20-0, that's what's unacceptable. It's just the bigger game plan, the bigger approach to the everyday. How are we preparing as a team every day to go out there and be competitive? There's teams that have little talent that go out there and still compete, and the Rockies just aren't competing right now. So shake the trees in the offseason. We'll see if they can get a better plan, but it's going to be far away. Also, Joe Stradamus news. According to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, the Mets are among the teams that have checked in with the White Sox availability of Luis Robert, who mysteriously also wasn't playing over the weekend because, that knee is a little sore, coach. Kind of interesting, right? Oh, everyone's checking in. All of a sudden, he's coming out of games just to be a little precautionary. So keep an eye on that one, because that would not shock me at all. I know there's some questions, a lot of questions in the chat about Nick Kurtz. So let's talk about him. 0 for 3, came out for a pinch hitter in the 9th inning. It's been tough. Is he droppable in shallow leagues? Yeah, absolutely. It's very frustrating. I'm going to take the L on this. I was super excited, maybe more than anybody. I thought he'd come up here and at least show something, but she's shown nothing so far.
I mean, yeah, but he's still, again, like we keep doing this bit where people are treating it like he hasn't got a hit yet. Like, he's still hitting 270. He's at 269 right now. Hard hits over 40. He's just striking out. Like, he's super inconsistent. Hey, surprise. This time last year, he was playing college baseball. He was, but he's got hits in 2 of the last 3 games. He's had multi-hits in 2 of the last 6 games. Yeah, it's not great, but he is getting some. He's just not doing anything great with it. They're taking the pressure off. You kind of chastise the idea of like that first day, letting him sit and kind of chill and understand it. It's probably pretty overwhelming, but even in that overwhelming space, 40% hard hit rate. He's got a 113 max EV. Average EV is 93 miles per hour, and the dude's hitting 269. So I don't think it's done. I don't think it's all over. But 39% K percentage, that's just not going to work. So you just shouldn't start him. And if you're at the 10-team league, guess what? You can drop it. Like, bye-bye, Nick Kurtz. Like, it doesn't make sense. But 12 and 15, a month from now, I think we legitimately could be talking about, he got some stuff figured out. Like, I'm not guaranteeing that by any means, but he's a pretty talented hitter. He's hitting, by the way, 250 or higher against all pitch types he's faced so far. He's just whiffing against breaking and off speed. But he's making contact, and it's in a little baby ballpark, and he's got to make some more contact in the zone, which he's not doing. It is possible it's going to get there. These rookies take some time. I don't think it is nothing but doom and gloom on Nick Kurtz. But, we'll check back in a month and we'll see where it is. But if he's still hitting 270, I don't want to hear like, what's wrong with Nick Kurtz? He's hitting 270, but like if he's still hitting for average in the major leagues, let's give him some credit.
Well, they're going to be on the road against the Dodgers, the Giants, then they're home against the Angels, and then the Philadelphia Phillies the rest of the month. So they're going to.
That's a rough stretch.
It's a really rough stretch. There's a good chance that he is not going to make it through that stretch, and he'll be down by Memorial Day again. I'm just putting that out there too. I'm the doom and gloom. Oh well. Tim Elko, I mentioned before in the rookie lookie too. I want to mention him again. So he was our guy. I got beat out by $1 for him in my home league. So mad because I need some first base help because Nick Kurtz isn't hitting. So I thought maybe Elko, I could start him this week. Nope, no good. Rhett Lowder also made another minor league start at single A. So keep an eye on that. Also, it's that time again, everybody. Everyone's favorite segment. It's time for Prospecting with the Welsh. That's right. It's when the Welsh talks about some of the guys playing in AAA, maybe even AA. Some names that you need to know for your fantasy baseball rosters. And Welsh, one guy that we've been talking about a lot, finally got the call. It's Jordan Lawlar of your Arizona Diamondbacks. So I want to talk about him because they finally called him up. He's been undeniable so far in the minor leagues, hitting the snot out of the ball everywhere, hitting for power, playing different positions. And it seems like playing the different positions is what's going to get him in this D-backs lineup at some point, because there really isn't a whole lot of room in the infield for him the way that group has performed. So, Welsh, I've heard about, they're going to try to get him in the lineup a couple times a week, give some guys some days off, move him around. That flexibility is great for fantasy in theory, but is it great in practice if he's not playing every single day up here at the big league level?
I still think it can. It's not a couple times a week. They're talking at like at least 4 times. So if there's 6 games in a week, they're talking about 4. This is kind of what I broke down, like whatever it was a couple of weeks ago we talked about. The only thing that's missing is that he's not playing any outfield, which is super annoying. But in the minors, he's played third, short, and second. Torey Lovullo said that when he comes up, he will play third, short, and second, and he'll give spells. They don't want to go like 3, I think it's like if you have 3 back-to-backs, or if you have back-to-back-to-back, they want Ketel to start sitting. So you've got a second base spot. He could DH as well. You're going to give a day off to Perdomo, a day or 2 off for Eugenio. They'll use that DH spot. So to your point, if he only plays 4 of 7, maybe it's like not as super great, but they feel that they're going to play him enough to not stunt his development, because I know people are kind of hung up on that. And I think that is important. Ironically, I saw someone go out about this, that it's like he was crazy. And then in May, he's only hit like 200. Then the Diamondbacks are like, bring him on up. He's only hitting 200 now when he starts to struggle, but he's still coming off of a 336 minor league campaign, 6 homers, 13 stolen bases. Underlying profile is pretty good in AAA. Average EV 110, which is better than he's had at any AAA or major league start. Hitting the ball a little bit harder, getting the ball in the air more than ever, and he's going to get some time. I think it's worth speculation, but I'll always reiterate this to you. If you can't stomach what Nick Kurtz is doing, like, just be careful. Lawlar at least has some major league experience, and he knows this team, and he has changed his profile already to kind of mirror more what he needs to do in the major league. So I think there's some better upside there, but he's not a big mashing hitter, and he's not going to hit at the top of the lineup. So this probably isn't like a 10 team. People are like, is this a must have? No, probably not, because he doesn't have an everyday job. There might be questions to the playing time, and he's not like some overabundant big power hitter. I think he's going to hit for more contact. He's going to steal some bases aggressively, but it'll be lower in the lineup.
All right, let's get an update on the guys from Boston: Roman Anthony, Marcelo Mayer. We have the Romy Gonzalez injury after the Tristan Casas injury. Still debate on when or if Rafael Devers will switch over to first base. But if he does, that certainly opens up some DH role. Maybe move some guys around, maybe call somebody up. So what have you heard the latest on these 2 prospects here for Boston, which we're still waiting for some sort of impact on the major league level for them?
Well, one of the things that might have, it's funny because it's like Devers won't go play first, but there have been rumors that Trevor Story could go over to first, which I think would be really interesting for, his injury history. So you can keep him in the lineup, or Christian Campbell could go over to first. Either one of those moves, though, speak to Marcelo Mayer. And Marcelo Mayer's bat's been fine. He's had some nice power. He's not hitting for average like Roman Anthony is. Roman Anthony is still the guy. He's still hitting over 300 in AAA, 5 homers, 3 stolen bases. It's a 423 OBP. And that's where the frustration comes, I think, for most people, because you're like, listen, if Devers can go to first and you can get Anthony in as an outfielder DH, it seems like it might be the best thing for the team. But there still is no path for that, because Craig Breslow and them do not seem at all interested in moving him to first base. They want to keep him in the outfield. So I'm starting to think maybe Mayer is going to be the one that's going to get, and not our Mike Mayer, but Marcelo would be the guy that might be in the lineup soon at the expense of a Story or a Campbell moving to first. But we still got to see. It should be Anthony. Looks like he's ready. Shouldn't be down for much longer, but Marcelo might be the guy up sooner.
Yeah, lots of things to sort out there in Boston still, obviously. Let's talk about another guy we keep waiting on. Bubba Chandler, we thought was imminent, and then he wasn't, and then he didn't have the greatest start last time we saw him. So what's the latest on Bubba Chandler, the starting pitching prospect for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Yeah, start date 17259. It is day 75 of I don't know when Bubba Chandler is going to come up. The last start wasn't great. It also wasn't like the worst thing in the world. Strikeouts were there, walks. I think his start would line up to today, and the Pirates have made no indications. So I think clearly it would have to be the next one. I think if he has a really nice one, then the timeline is this next start. But like, we're just kicking the can down the road. So the only thing to talk about here is we continuously talk about when will he come up. It's all just best guesses at this point. We don't know what they're doing developmentally. That last start probably did maybe halt things a tiny bit because he couldn't go deep in the game and he was walking again. But I think if he has a really good one here, it should open up because now you're into that mid-May, which the Pirates really, really like. And he has had way more good starts than bad ones.
All right, let's go a little further down the farm for a second for a Mets farm hand who struck out 13 guys, a career high at Double-A. Jonah Tong, Jonah Tong kind of turned some eyes and some heads over in spring training this year, too. 6 2/3 innings in his last start. He's got a 44.7% strikeout rate. That's very high. I know the Mets don't need any immediate starting pitching help, but I think it's also one of those scenarios where if you're in dynasty leagues and you're looking at your team and you're trying to acquire more assets, Tong and a couple of these other guys, Sparrott, seems like the Mets have a pretty good prospect grouping here of pitchers that are going to come to Citi Field sooner than later. So what's your take on Tong? I know you're a big prospect guy. This is why we come to you, Welsh. What's his development possibly look like over the next year or so?
Shocker, we're talking about Mets prospects from Joey, right?
Well, we're talking about a Mets prospect who had 13 strikeout performance. I think that's
Tong is interesting.
44% K rate.
Yeah, I mean, and he is interesting. They've got Tidwell, they've got Sprott, they got Tong. Tong is not an option for this year. I would, I mean, never say never because he could get to AAA and move up, but they've got to work through Sprott and Tidwell, and maybe Tidwell is going to go in a trade or something. The thing that is really going for Tong is massive strikeouts, 51 strikeouts in 28 innings pitched so far. Pretty absurd numbers. Walks are looking, a little bit high, 14 walks in 28 innings. But he's held batters to like an under 170 batting average so far this year. He seems to be on his stuff. I don't know if there's like injury or relief risk, maybe 6'1", 180, a little bit skinnier of a guy. But I think there's a handful of really, really interesting like Double-A-ish pitchers that are out there in Dynasty. And I think Tong is one of those that you want to speculate on because that strikeout stuff with the fastball is huge with him. But there's a little relief risk.
Speculate on Justin Crawford of the Phillies. Just we were getting closer and closer to thinking maybe Otto Kemp would get an opportunity. Unfortunately, Alec Boehm started hitting again. So could Justin Crawford actually be the guy that gets there first?
Yeah, this is one I really wanted to hit here on my list is Crawford, son of Carl Crawford in AAA, has just been an absolute monster. He's near the top of hit leaders in all of AAA. He's only 21 years old, but the 6'2" outfielder, his offensive game is stepping up. 20% K percentage, but he's upped his walk percentage to 10%, 319 batting average at his last 4 stops. High, or I guess it was 3. High A, Double-A, and Triple-A. He's all hit over 300. Power projections are really, really low on him. He doesn't have a homer this year, but he's got 12 stolen bases in 34 games. He's hitting like crazy, which is really, really important. And looking at that offense, Brandon Marsh is hitting under 200. Kepler is okay, I guess. He's hitting around 240. Lefties in the lineup. That's Crawford. I think you could see Crawford in the very, very near future because game-changing speed you could have at the bottom of a lineup. Maybe one of Marsh or Kepler goes by the wayside. I just think there's room there. Crawford to be a huge, huge stolen base option, kind of in the likes of like a Chandler Simpson type of a player that I would look at because he's hitting for massive average. And I think the clock is ticking really, really quick here. So stolen base chasing, look at Justin Crawford.
Speaking of huge, how about 6'7", Jacob Misiorowski, the last guy we're going to talk about. The Brewers rotation might need a little bit of a shakeup at some point. Brandon Woodruff is coming back, but Myers got sent down. Misiorowski at AAA this year, 42 innings, got a 1.49 ERA. That's as good as it gets. The ERA is so low, we can't even see it. Plus the whip is 0.92 right now. He's got 11.5 K per 9. The walk rate's still a little high, 3.8, but better than it was to open the season. So could we be seeing this guy who is basically unhittable? I mean, giving up just 21 hits in 42 innings. Misiorowski, what do you think this timetable might be this year for him?
Yeah, and Callie, I would say get off of projections and go to stats so people can see the massive, massive numbers for Jacob Misiorowski because that's the craziness of him this year. He's got a sub 1.5 ERA, 1.49, an 11.5 K per 9. But here's the most important: walks last year across all levels. 5.5 walks per 9 this year, 3.8. We're getting close to cutting 2 walks off per 9. And when you go and look at his stuff, he's lowered because that's always been his problem. Jacob Misiorowski has got big, powerful, exciting stuff. But guess what? He's a walk machine. And that spells and smells of relief risk that he would be a big time closer. Well, this year in AAA, what we're seeing is the fastball has ticked down a tiny bit. 98 average last year, 2. So he's ticked it down a little bit for a little bit more command. Scrapped the sinker. He's going heavy slider. He threw it 3% of the time last year, 16% of the time this year, 90.9 last year, averages 92.7. So he's throwing a almost 93 mile an hour slider, the fastball at 97. And then he's got this curve that he's throwing at 86, and he's lowered that percentages. So it's heavy fastball slider having huge results. He's not walking guys as much. It's a beautiful thing. Misiorowski has gone from looks like he's a closing option to, you know what? He actually might be a starting pitcher. They're going to give him that shot, and that shot might come soon because, as we talked about, there's not they got a weird hole at the bottom of their rotation with 2 open spots. There's only so long you're going to keep Misiorowski in AAA with those type of results. He should get a shot pretty soon. And I will tell you, it is like a fantasy haven of skills that he has and strikeout potential that, like, you got to speculate on him if he comes up. You just got to watch the walk issues.
Yeah, Logan Henderson also came up earlier this year, so you got to leapfrog him too, and he looked really good at the major league level. So those are the prospects to watch. Prospecting with the Welsh is always here every single Monday on Leading Off. Join us on our Twitch, twitch.tv/FantasyPros Live. And of course, you can always subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, Fantasy Pros MLB. Let's get to the ups and downs from yesterday's games. Welsh up, Freddie Freeman 4-for-4 with a dinger. Ben Rice, his first grand slam for him against the Athletics. Eovaldi, probably last couple of years, the most underrated pitcher in fantasy, just undervalued, underappreciated. 7 shutout innings for him. He was great against the Tigers on Sunday. The downs, even though he was spotted a 10-run lead, Brady Singer could not keep it. He got just 7 outs to give up 7 runs against the Astros. Crazy. The other side of that game was Lance McCullers, which was not good. Luis Severino, 8 runs of his own given up against the Yankees, and Nick Pivetta, a rare bad performance for him, 6 runs. It was against the Rockies, though, so he's going to, take the air into account sometimes there once in a while. But whenever you're trying to make moves, make sure you're using My Playbook, manage your fantasy baseball lineups, and dominate your leagues with My Playbook from Fantasy Pros. My Playbook is the most powerful suite of tools that will help you make better decisions, manage your lineups, and win your leagues. Import your team and get custom fantasy baseball news, rankings, and analysis. Sync your leagues today at fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook, or just download the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app. Injury front. Clayton Kershaw, 4 innings for him. The rehab start. Still no word when he is going to be back. But Blake Snell remains shut down. Tyler Glasnow being reevaluated today. It's the Snell one that's got me worried, because now that we're saying we were supposed to have him throw again, now we're not. It's starting to feel like maybe a bigger issue could be on the horizon here, where Snell might not be back, maybe just not for a long time, but might not be back, period. I'm starting to get real itchy here.
No, and he said, I think he tried to start throwing and he still, or maybe it was right before, he just felt discomfort still. It's not good. It's really, really bad. It's slow paced. He's got some injury history, getting older. It doesn't seem like it's healing. Obviously, they can slow roll the hell out of this because the team is just, they're a behemoth, and they're not quite like this isn't like the NBA and like the Lakers where, you would sit every player, it was a couple years ago, just sit them all in the regular season and they come back at the end. But if there's a team that can do that, it's kind of the Dodgers. So I think it smells really bad for fantasy owners of Blake Snell. I'm legitimately concerned that we might have little to none of Blake Snell this year with this injury.
Me too. He was my Cy Young bet this year, so one of them. So not loving that. Do you think we get Kershaw back this week after this final rehab start? Right? I mean,
yeah, my dear friend Clayton Kershaw. They had actually brought him to Arizona because they wanted to avoid weather to not halt or stop any of the rehab. This last one was in AAA. This was it. So he should be back this week. That would be the expectation, that they're going to throw him back in the rotation, which is solid. I will say this, in that start and out here, not the AAA one, but like, he gave up no hits in 6 innings, but he gave up some hard contact that these young guys, they got it to the warning track. Bigger major leaguers and higher minor leaguers are going to do some damage with it. We'll see. I'm not sure he's a must start or anything like that, or even a must pick up, but you can watch him for the win potential.
You got to be an improvement over what he's been giving you.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, I guess that's
thank goodness for Tony Gonsolin. Those are words I never thought I would say.
Been a monster. He's been a freaking monster.
I know. He's been so good. Who'd have thought? Spencer Strider, good news. Could potentially be activated on Friday. So no rehab stuff or anything going on with him. That's finally good news. Jordan Alvarez expected to resume hitting off a tee today. So that's good. And Yuri Perez, 5 strikeouts, 3 scoreless innings on Sunday in the minor league rehab start, low A. So let's see. It's the 12th of May. I'm hoping early June we get Yuri Perez back. That would be great for my fantasy teams while I'm keeping them. And Welsh, I'm looking at the clock, and it's time for the best bets
of Monday.
Right here with Joey P and the Welsh. Bets for me. Let's go Boston on the money line, -108. Jackson Jobe is on the mound for the Tigers, and he has not been good this year. I think this Red Sox lineup can handle it. And look, Rafael Devers starting to get hot too again. Yay! Tanner Houck on the mound. I think can give him at least a quality start here and outlast Jobe. So give me Boston on the money line on the road. Also in that game, because he's going against Jobe, give me Rafael Devers to score a run, +145. I like that number. And lastly, we kind of touched on the opening of the show. I just think the line is wrong right here. Just flat out wrong. So the Pittsburgh Pirates are going against the New York Mets today. It is on the road in New York, but at the same time, it's Paul Skeens on the mound. And I know Skeens has struggled against the Cardinals, but it's still Paul Skeens. And I know the Mets lineup is really good, but it's still Paul Skeens. And you're giving me plus money, +120 on the money line just for them to come away with a victory and a Skeens start. I know the Pirates have their struggles. I get it. The Mets offense has been red hot, but I think we have to at least be smart enough to recognize when Paul Skeens is on the mound and an underdog at plus money, you take that opportunity every single time. So I'm not going crazy with any Skeens props. I'm just saying he can outduel Peterson, and the Mets offense has been hot. Maybe they run into a little bit of a buzzsaw today with arguably the best pitcher in the National League. So those are my bets for today. Welsh, what do you have?
You might even like those strikeouts. I think it was 6.5 plus money. So 7.
That Mets
Maybe it
lineup
was
is tough
5.5.
though,
Yeah, they
you
don't
know?
strike out a bunch, so it's a little dicey. He just hasn't been, like I said earlier, not quite as skeenish. I'm going to join you on the Boston side. I'm going to take that first 5 though. I agree. Tanner Houck has definitely had his moments too, but Jackson Jobe has not been super consistent. That offense for Boston has been picking it up. Devers, Bregman. I'm going to play them. It's -115 on either side of this. So, Kerry Carpenter, going up against Houck, there's some of the prop bets really love Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green today. I see it, but I'm going to go Boston first 5 money line. They're tied. We push. But if Boston is up and they get to Jobe early, we're going to cash at -115. I'm going to go with the Padres first 5 run line. So that is just to be up by a run today. It's a little bit more juice, but -135. Padres offense has just been ridiculous so far. And I believe it is the Angels and Kikuchi, who Kikuchi's has some moments of getting lit. And then I'm going to go Justin Verlander under 4.5 strikeouts going up against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ketel will be back in the lineup today. He wasn't there. I don't believe Verlander has hit 5 strikeouts over his last 2 starts. Diamondbacks do not strike out a ton. Corbin Carroll sometimes sets the table for this. If he has one of those bad Corbin Carroll games, 0-for-3 strikeouts. But the top of the lineup is really tough. I think they're going to get to Verlander. So we're going to say Verlander under 4.5, so under 5 strikeouts at -115. Those are my best bets of the day.
Okay, everybody. And remember, you can get the free Betting Pros trial of the premium tools right now when you download the app. Use that promo code leading off to unlock exclusive betting tools from BP, the prop bet cheat sheet, the Betting Pro systems, the same game parlay builder, Sharp AI. It's all there for you. Use that promo code leading off today, and you can download it for free. And you get the premium tools, not just the regular ones, which are already amazing, but the premium exquisite tools for 7 free days on top of that. And don't forget, fantasypros.com/leading off. New customers can place their first bet $5. And if you win that bet, you get 250 in bonus bets when you win over on FanDuel with fantasypros.com/leading off. Let's see what the home run board looks like after the weekend. Oh, Wonky and Welsh tied at 14. Marty up to 18. George at 18. Now, I got 2 from Schwarber. I'm not sure how many I have right now. Maybe
you're like at 8. I feel like you're at 8. I think you were at
8.
6 before.
So I'm getting very close to double digits here. Very close. Sammy Sosa jersey on the line here. Autograph from pristineauction.com. If you want to get on the home run contest, there's plenty of time. There's still plenty of baseball left to play. Go to our Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. Welsh, you mentioned Kikuchi. I was doing a little digging, and it turns out there's a guy in that Padres lineup who's pretty good against Kikuchi in 8 at-bats. He's got 2 homers, 4 ribbies, and hitting .375 with a 1,500 OPS, and his name is Xander Bogaerts. So give me Xander Bogaerts. Be careful, everybody, the next couple of days, too, calling your home runs. A lot of rain in the Northeast in some of these games, so just be very attentive to, your home run calls. So, Welsh, I'm going to go stick with Xander, an odd one. How about you? Where are you going for your home run call today on a Monday?
I was tempted to kind of stay with that Padres team. I think I had Tatis over the weekend. Machado was really interesting to me. I did move away from it though, and I'm going to go with Corey Seager. Corey Seager actually is coming off of a 2-homer game. They're going against Colorado and Chase Dollander. You guys know I do like Chase Dollander. That fantasy relevance for this year is fading quickly away. And what is Dollander's main problem? Homers. Corey Seager, mashing righties right now with an over 300 batting average. So Corey Seager, we're going to get him back on the board and get me further up that board, 4 away from the top. Me and Wonky, we're trying to get there, but I hate to say it, everybody. Joe's got a decent shot by June to get on that board.
Oh,
So
I'm getting on
he's
that
got a
board by
decent-
June.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
are. By the way,
Oh, I'm
can
getting
we?
down there.
I don't know if you saw this. Can you guys put up the last artwork that we had with the new picture? We saw a new picture from our photo shoot in whatever read you were just doing, where we were doing the Step Brothers. Are you guys? There you go. Look at that. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, the Step Brothers one. Yes.
Didn't
It
I
was
do
good.
a
It looked
better?
good
Did
there.
I do a better version where I'm looking a little bit off? We need to check into that. But look at that artwork. Look
I
at
know,
how
it's pretty good.
prestigious you look, Joe.
Yes, we both look prestigious there. This is pretty good.
I
was
look a
wondering,
little lost.
I was doing the read and I was like, why are people calling us Step Brothers? But now it makes sense.
I literally wasn't looking, and then I looked at the screen and I went, "Pfft," and I just like outwardly had to do it because we got new artwork on the screen from our photo shoot. Gotta love it though.
All right. Are you worried about the Corey Seager hamstring at all though tonight? You got a backup plan just in case?
Yeah, I'll probably go Machado if
There
he
you
doesn't
go.
play. If the lineup goes and he's not in, I'm gonna drop a little Machado and join you in the parade of
Yeah,
Padres.
Go Padres. Let's go. All right, everybody. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on for the Welsh. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Nothing.
It's Monday.
It is Monday.
Sometimes.
Do we just become best friends? Yep.
Yup. Sometimes you just got a case of the Mondays.
Yeah.